Out for the first time since he was put behind bars for locking up 3 women. And we're learning more about the suspect accused of stabbing a Colorado Springs man to death last week. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. I'm Nikki Weirich. We have the latest on the homicide investigation now in tonight's top story. 20-year-old Elton Lamar Johnson was arrested last week and charged with second-degree murder for the death of 39-year-old Juan Carlos Lopez Herrera. His body was found outside his home just after midnight Wednesday. The coroner says Lopez Herrera was stabbed to death. Fox 21's Rachel Welty obtained a copy of Johnson's arrest affidavit today. She joins us live from the studio now with more. Rachel?
Yeah, Nikki, this all happened outside a home on Camfield Circle. That's near Austin Bluffs and Woodman. According to Elton Lamar Johnson's arrest affidavit, he and a friend went to Lopez Herrera's house to talk with him and calm him down because he was upset over his divorce. During their conversation, it says Lopez Herrera pulled out a knife and demanded the suspect and his friend leave. From there, the document says Johnson kicked at the knife, cutting his leg, adding eventually the knife ended up in the hands of the suspect, who told police he held it out and, quote, jabbed at Lopez Herrera in self-defense because the victim had a black belt in martial arts. After that, Johnson stated he threw the knife, watched Lopez Herrera walk back to his home, and then went for medical help. A further investigation revealed Johnson and his friend may also have gone to the victim's house to settle a Facebook fight involving a woman and a derogatory term. So there's a lot of conflicting reports in the document that, of course, will have to be settled in court. Nikki, back to you downtown.
All right, Rachel, thanks so much for that report tonight. The suspect in an officer-involved shooting is identified as 37-year-old Christopher Clemens. May 11th, 2 Manitou Springs officers were conducting an investigation at the LaFawn Motel on Manitou Avenue. That's when an altercation took place. Clemens fired at one officer who returned fire, hitting Clemens. The officer wasn't hurt. Clemens was taken to the hospital and is in stable condition tonight. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office is still investigating. Colorado Springs police say a man set fire to a trailer and tried to flee after a domestic disturbance. Michael Chirani is facing charges of arson, menacing, and assault. Police say the woman escaped and called police. Authorities say the suspect set a small fire and escaped through a window before being arrested. James Holmes asking a judge to allow him to change his plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. He faces murder and attempted murder charges in the July 20th attack. No motive has emerged, but Holmes' attorneys say their client is mentally ill. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. The insanity plea carries risk for both sides. Holmes must submit to a mental evaluation by state doctors, and their findings could be used against him by prosecutors. A judge is expected to decide on the new plea before a May 31st hearing. Well, it feels like we went from winter to summer. Terry has more on these warm temps now in our Fox Fastcast. Terry?
Boy, Nikki, you had to love it out there today. Temperatures got into the 80s. As a matter of fact, I opened the windows to get the warm air in. It was actually cooler inside my house at one point than it was outside. Helped warm it up a little bit. Speaking of the temperatures, let's take a look, and it's still 76 in Colorado Springs, 82 in Pueblo. Look at this, 90 in La Junta, 92 in Lamar, 87 Springfield, 83 Trinidad, 72 Monument Hill, likewise in Alamosa. It's just a nice evening out there. Now, we are seeing a few echoes on our TrueView Doppler. Most of that is virga. That's the rain that starts to fall, evaporates before it hits the ground. You may see a few sprinkles out of this, nothing more than that. And it's going to taper off fairly quickly as the sun sets and the temperature cools off. So what can we expect through the evening hours? We'll look for partly cloudy skies, but they'll clear as the evening goes on. 73 and 80 the temperatures around 7 o'clock tonight. 66 in Colorado Springs, 75 in Pueblo at 9, and 62 and 70 at 11 o'clock tonight. Can't complain about those temperatures. Nice evening. Tomorrow, another toasty day. We'll talk more about it coming up in just about 7 minutes. Right now, we're headed back to our downtown studio. Nikki.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Terry. Angels of America's Fallen celebrating Military Appreciation Week this week. The group gives families of fallen soldiers and first responders the help they need, providing financial support and mentoring to help their children develop. The first people they helped in Colorado Springs were the wife and sons of Dale Getz. He's the first chaplain to be killed in a combat zone since the Vietnam War. His 3 sons are able to afford trombone lessons, have support to run track, and the littlest is learning to swim, a sport that their dad loved.
I like getting to watch him learn how to swim, because it's one thing that we all like to do.
Just to know that it's in memory of their dad has been probably the most precious to me, just to know that it's in memory of Dad too. And he would be thrilled to know they're doing those things that they enjoy.
If you would like to give to the organization, Chick-fil-A is donating a portion of their sales this week from 4 until 8 p.m. Or you can visit their website, www.aoafallen.org. A hiring expo will be held in Colorado Springs for military service members. It starts Wednesday. It will take place at Pikes Peak Community College from 7:30 a.m. to 5 and runs the same time the next day. Active military members can learn resume writing, interview skills, and social media networking. Then all-day hiring expo will be held Friday from 9 to 4, featuring more than 100 local businesses. Colorado College is recharging its batteries with a new electric car that is a charging station actually on campus. The new EV charging station is on 830 North Nevada Avenue in the parking lot near Nevada and Cache Lapeer. There's a charging fee of 75 cents per hour for electricity and billing fees. A former CC student coordinated the donation of the charging station from one of the nation's largest EV charging networks. Well, we have some good news for you tonight. Finding a place to fish in Colorado has never been easier. Colorado Parks and Wildlife launching several new tools for folks ready to enjoy everything Colorado fishing has to offer. Fox 21's John Martin has that story.
Michael Pepper spent Monday morning at his normal fishing location, Prospect Lake.
Your friends come by or whatever, stop by and ask, how you doing, you catch anything and all that, and either you eat yes or no, or they'll tease you and whatever, and we just continue to fish, you know.
He shares stories and tips about fishing there with other anglers. And as long as everyone has their appropriate fishing license, Colorado Parks and Wildlife says it's a great way to spend the day.
This is a great state to be outdoors, whether you're doing any kind of activity, but fishing adds that extra bonus. You might catch dinner.
And now the department is making it easier to find your new fishing spot with the launch of the Colorado Fishing Atlas.
Whether you like to be on a little stream, fly fishing, a big river, float fishing on a raft, or some of the state parks that have John Martin, which are the big reservoirs. There's so many different opportunities for people to get out and enjoy fishing.
From handicap-accessible fishing access to special regulations in stocked waters, it can all be found through the Parks and Wildlife webpage, making it a little easier to reel in that big one, no matter how long it takes.
So far, nothing yet, but I just hope that something gets on the line.
John Martin, Fox 21 News.
It's official. Shelter dogs and cats are now Colorado's official state pet. Governor Hickenlooper signing a bill making the designation. Hickenlooper bringing along his dog, Sky, which he got from a shelter. The proposal was brought forward by Colorado school children. Colorado already has an official state animal, the Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep. Residents are hearing rumblings again. It looks like this volcano outside Mexico City could erupt at any time. That story and Terry will have your forecast coming up after the break.
You are watching Fox 21 News at 6:30. Live from downtown Colorado Springs. This is Fox 21 News at 6:30.
large volcano near Mexico City is rumbling again, and local authorities are on high alert. Mexican military forces are in place to assist in evacuation should the mountain erupt. The volcano is about 45 miles southeast of Mexico City. Terry?
45 miles, that's a little too close even for my taste, you know, a little further would be better. Hey, let's take a look at the temperatures. It was a gorgeous day out there today. We had a few clouds late, maybe a sprinkle, but the temperatures were fabulous. Right now it's 74 if you're around the Air Force Academy. Even the normally cool Monument Hill in with a 70 right now, 76 this spring, 78 around Fort Carson as we back off. Pueblo 82. And look at this, it's 90 degrees in La Junta right now, 92 in Lamar, 87 Springfield, 83 in Trinidad, 72 in Alamosa. Still a nice evening out there. Ridge of high pressure moving over the area. You can see most of the clouds getting pushed off to the north of us. That high is kind of spinning a few of those back into the state. We could see a little more of that tomorrow, but basically this high pressure, this ridge is going to give us some warm temperatures once again tomorrow. We'll be in the 80s, and yes, some places will be into the 90s. We'll take a look at future view, and here's what happens. Overnight tonight we should clear out. We should start the day tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. Here's the way it looks. Temperatures over the higher elevations will be in the 40s, some 50s around 7 o'clock in the east. As the day goes on, little moisture creeps into the picture. We'll look for partly cloudy skies late in the day in the eastern part of the state. A few isolated showers or thunderstorms. Notice most of those, almost all of them, west of I-25, so it shouldn't be a big problem for those of us east of the mountains. Then overnight tomorrow night, we'll see partial clearing. We'll start Wednesday with some partly cloudy skies, but there's a weak cold front that's going to move through. Watch what happens. It helps kick off showers and thunderstorms over the mountains, and yes, they roll off to the east. Could be some strong storms, Colorado Springs down through Pueblo, Walsenburg, and Trinidad, so keep that in mind. Wednesday's probably our best bet for some rain over the next several days. We'll take a look at that forecast for southern Colorado for tonight. Some mild overnight low temperatures as those skies clear out. 49 in Monument, 53 in Fountain, 50 throughout much of the east, 55 in La Junta, 49 in Trinidad, 51 in Walsenburg, 39 your low temperature in Alamosa. Then coming up for tomorrow, we'll look for a few isolated storms again, basically at the higher elevations. Could be one or two creep out over the Monument Hill area, but other than that, looks like it's going to be dry for most of us. Otherwise, mostly sunny to partly cloudy and quite warm. Take a look at these high temperatures. 86 in Canyon City, 79 in Salida. We'll look for 80s, mid-80s there in Walsenburg and Trinidad. How about 90s? Yeah, we have them in La Junta, Lamar, Kit Carson, and Springfield, all in the 90s for tomorrow. In Fountain, look for a high temperature of 83 and upper 70s in Black Forest. So let's take a look at that forecast. For Colorado Springs for tonight, we'll look for clearing skies overnight. Mild overnight low temperature. It's only going to drop to 52 degrees. Very pleasant. And in Pueblo, look for low right around 50. And coming up for tomorrow, mostly sunny to partly cloudy, breezy. I'm going to leave that slight chance of an afternoon or evening thunderstorm in the forecast, but it's a rare, very slim chance, less than 20%. 83 the high temperature, and in Pueblo, plenty of sunshine, breezy, and yeah, I'm going to call it hot. 91 degrees. That's hot, folks. That's what we're expecting for tomorrow. So hot day for you folks in Pueblo. What happens after that? Well, we cool off a little bit on Wednesday. Things bounce back on Thursday and Friday. We'll get to those details coming up a little bit later. Right now we're headed back downtown. Nikki.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Terry. Mother's Day violence. Police still searching for suspects after gunfire erupts at a parade in New Orleans. And in their own words, the Castro brothers in Cleveland speak out for the first time, calling their brother a monster. That interview coming up next. Making news across America tonight, brothers of the man charged with locking up 3 women are now speaking out. They're explaining what they say they saw and didn't see inside their brother's home. Emily Schmidt has that story.
As Ariel Castro's house is sealed for evidence, one of his brothers tells CNN's Martin Savage what he saw inside. Never let in beyond a noisy kitchen blocked off by curtains.
Something had to be on at all time in the kitchen. So I couldn't hear nothing else but the radio or the TV.
Pedro and O'Neill Castro say they never suspected Ariel had 3 women and a child in the house. Amanda Berry and her daughter born in captivity, Michelle Knight and Gina De Jesus. They say their brother actually knew Gina's father.
You even went to the vigils, you had posters, you give his mama a hug, and you got his daughter captive?
Are you recording that? Mm-hmm.
While people in the neighborhood watched police run into Castro's house last Monday looking for the kidnapped women.
And right when the cop asked her, "Who are you?" she passed us and said, "Amanda Berry."
Pedro and O'Neill Castro were learning of the story firsthand. Cleveland police arrested them and released their mugshots. Police didn't clear the 2 brothers from the crime until Thursday. Ariel remains in jail on $8 million bond. His brothers call him a monster.
I want him to suffer in that jail to the last extent. I don't care if we even feed him, what he has done to my life and my family's.
I feel the same way.
They say they are grateful the women are free and that their brother is not. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
New Orleans police hoping a $10,000 reward in surveillance images will lead to arrests in a Mother's Day shooting. 19 people were wounded. The video shows the crowd suddenly scattering, with some falling to the ground after the shooting. They appear to be running from a man in a white t-shirt and dark pants. Police say ballistics evidence has given investigators good leads. O.J. Simpson back in court. He's appealing his conviction for armed robbery in 2008. He's arguing he was found guilty and imprisoned because of bad advice from his attorney. The former NFL star, acquitted of murdering his ex-wife and her friend, is due to testify Wednesday. Prosecutors say Simpson, carrying a gun, confronted sports memorabilia dealers in Las Vegas, trying to recover property he says was stolen from him. Decades of study. It was 50 years in the making, but this 71-year-old says she felt 20 when she walked across the stage to get her diploma. And chemicals cause concern. Be careful, popcorn lovers. Eating the microwave kind could cause some trouble. We have more coming up in tonight's Modern Medicine. In tonight's Modern Medicine, popcorn lovers, eating the microwave kind may be harmful to your heart. A certain acid known as PFOA is a common chemical found in things like nonstick cookware. According to the FDA, popcorn bags contain especially high levels of PFOAs. Researchers finding the greater the amounts of PFOA in the bloodstream, the greater risk of cardiovascular disease. The best advice, stay away from nonstick cookware and packaged goods. Genetics may not be to blame for many heart defects. A new study finding at least 10% of severe genetic heart defects are caused by new gene mutations and not inherited from parents. Researchers analyzed the genes of more than 1,800 people. Scientists also found the set of mutated genes in congenital heart disease unexpectedly overlapped with genes and pathways mutated in autism. But we have some good news for you tonight. When you want something badly enough, you go for it, even if it takes 50 years. Just ask Nancy Bassett, who's getting ready to graduate college at the age of 71. Fox's Sarah Blue has her story.
Interesting exhibit.
71-year-old Nancy Bassett has accomplished a lot over the last 50 years, except earning her college diploma.
I only had like a year of college, and then I stepped out. I married my college sweetheart, and I had to to put him through college.
After having a family, interning with the Smithsonian, doing archaeological digs around the world, and starting a Bible museum in Collierville, it was her turn. Bassett headed back to college at the University of Memphis in 1996.
When I first went back, I thought, oh, I'll be the oldest one there. No, I was not. You know, I mean, there were other people there at my age.
She says her college advisors and professors went out of their way to help her succeed, even in her toughest subject, math.
I was just terrified of math, and you know, we didn't have calculators when I was in algebra in high school. When I first started, I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, how can I learn this? How can I learn this? And I would just go over and over and over.
Fast forward 17 years, and at 71, Bassett is proof that you're never too old to go back to school.
I started one class a semester, and you just start chipping away. And you too at 71 can graduate.
With gown on and one last look in the mirror, Bassett was off to celebrate the day she worked 50 years for.
I'm sure when I walk across the stage, I'll feel like a 20-year-old, you know, I mean, just as young as the rest of them, maybe a 30-year-old, you know.
Well, that was Sarah Blue reporting. Stick with us. Terry will have a week's worth of weather coming up next.
If you like the heat, you're going to like this forecast. Here's a week's worth. There's a slight chance of a storm coming up for tomorrow. Better chance Wednesday. Wednesday's the best chance we're going to see for rain over the next 7 days. 83 your high tomorrow. That cold front brushes us on Wednesday. We dip into the 70s. Look at that, though. Thursday and Friday back to the 80s. And the weekend, we're in the 70s. That's not bad either. And in Pueblo, yeah, it's going to be hot tomorrow. We're looking for low 90s for highs. We lose about 10 degrees on Wednesday. Back to the upper 80s on Thursday and Friday. And we'll stay in the 70s and 80s on Saturday and Sunday. All right, let's get back downtown. Here's Nikki.
All right, thanks, Terry, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. For more news and weather, all you need to do is head to our website, fox21news.com. We'll see you back here tonight at 9. Have a good one.
So take off all your clothes.
Yep, I was just waiting. I'm ready.